conditional. We are going to look at what an equivalent statement is and then write different types of statements, the contrapositive, the converse, and the inverse. Equivalent compound statements are made up of the same simple statements and have the same corresponding truth values for all true-false combinations of these simple statements. If a compound statement is true, then its equivalent statement must also be true. If a compound statement is false, its equivalent statement must also be false. So the first one that we're going to look at is the converse. And so I remember this back in geometry, high school geometry. This is where I first saw it. So you may or may not remember it, but this is where I've seen it before. So you have P, if P, then Q is our conditional. And our converse, all that happens here is that it's flipped. Flip P and Q. So we will write this as, so the converse will be written as if Q, then P. So an example would be, if I win the lottery, then I buy a car. Converse would be, if I buy a new car, then I won the lottery. Let's look at the inverse statement now. So inverse, so we have P, then Q. So the inverse, it's in the same order, but what's happening is they are negated. Negate P and Q. So with converse and inverse, they can be true, but they're not necessarily going to be true. They're not equivalent to. So we have if P, then Q. So the inverse would be if not P, then not Q. So if I win the lottery, then I'm going to buy a new car. If I don't win the lottery, then I'm not going to buy a car. Oh, that should say not. Right. The contrapositive. The contrapositive and its conditional statement, they are equivalent. So that's what this three little lines means. They are equivalent. They're always going to be true. So if you do the contrapositive, so if we look at it, see how they're flipped and they're negated. So you'll flip and negate P and Q. The truth value conditional statement does not change if the antecedent and the consequent are reversed and both are negated. This is called your contrapositive. So if P, then Q. So if not Q, then not P. So if this is true, if I win the lottery, then I'll buy a new car. If I don't win the lottery, then I won't buy a car. Right? Or did I not do that right? If I win the lottery, then I buy a new car. If I don't buy a new car, there we go, then I didn't win the lottery. I didn't flip it. All right, let's look at this example. Write the equivalent contrapositive for you live in Los Angeles, then you live in California. So P is if you live in Los Angeles. Q is then you live in California. So that's true. So if you live in Los Angeles and you live in California, that's true. So the contrapositive when you flip and negate. So if you don't live in California, then you do not live in Los Angeles. That's true. Here is all of them on one page. So we have the conditional, the converse, the inverse, and the contrapositive. The conditional is just your P then Q. The converse is when you flip them. The inverse is when you negate them. And contrapositive is you flip and negate. And you know what I realized? This isn't even right. It should say not Q, then not P. Make sure that fix that. I might actually fix that before it goes to y'all where y'all can print it. So make sure it has the first one. All right, let's look at another example. Write the converse, inverse, contrapositive. So if you are 17, then you are not eligible to vote. So it says P, you're 17, Q, you're eligible to vote. So they had to negate it because it says if you're not eligible to vote. Okay, so if you are 17, then you're not eligible to vote. So this is not going to be our conditional statement. So from this, you're going to write the converse, inverse, and contrapositive. And it's all written over here. So this is our original. If P, then not Q. If you are 17, then you are not eligible to vote. And that is true. Reverse. So let's do the converse. So if you are not eligible to vote, so I start here, not eligible to vote, then you are 17. You're not eligible to vote, then you are 17. No, that's not quite true because you could be 16, you could be 10. There are other ways to write that. All right, inverse. This would be, you got to negate them. So I'm going to negate P and then negate a negated Q. So those will cancel. It's just like a minus and negative. So this is, if you are not 17, then you are eligible to vote. If you are not 17, then you're eligible to vote. That is not true. You could be 16 and you're still not eligible to vote. That's not true. But you could be 21. You could be 30. You could be 50. All right, controvert positive. You're going to flip these and negate them. So put the negated Q, which becomes Q, and then you're going to negate the P. So that means if you are eligible to vote, that's Q, then you are not 17. And that is true. So these, the conditional and the contrapositive, are equivalent. They're both. They're the same. Whatever the truth value is, they're the same. All right, let's look at this example. Write the converse, inverse, and contrapositive. So if today is Wednesday, then yesterday was Tuesday. So we have P, today is Wednesday. Q, yesterday was Tuesday. All right, so the converse. So you flip them. If yesterday was Tuesday, then today is Wednesday. Inverse, we're going to keep them in the same order but negate. So if today is not Wednesday, right? So it's not P. Then yesterday was not Tuesday. If today is not Wednesday, and yesterday was not Tuesday. Yep, these are true. All right, and then the contrapositive. So negate and I'm going to flip. So if yesterday was not Tuesday, then today is not Wednesday. And these will have the same truth value. If today is Wednesday, then yesterday was Tuesday. True. If yesterday was not Tuesday, then today is not Wednesday. All right, works. Write the converse, inverse, contrapositive. All right, so here's our conditional. So our converse is, we're going to flip it. Q and not Q. So it's kind of like what was done up here. Inverse, you'll negate it. So keep it in the same order. So we P, then not Q. Contrapositive, negate and flip, not Q, P. Our last page. Express the statement below in the if-then form. Then write the converse, inverse, contrapositive. All carnivores, I can't even speak, eat meat. So our conditional, if someone is a carnivore, then they eat meat. So that's our conditional. So our converse, we flip it. If someone eats meat, then they are a carnivore. Inverse, negate it. If someone is not a carnivore, then they don't eat meat. And then contrapositive. I'm just going to abbreviate it. So negate and flip. If someone doesn't eat meat, then they are not a carnivore. All right, let's look at the next one. Use a truth table to determine whether the two statements are equivalent. P, then, not Q, and, not Q, then P, and, then P if and only if, not Q. So we're determining whether these are equivalent with those three lines. So if I look at this, these are just flipped, and this is an if and only if statement. Remember when we did a definition of what if and only if is? If and only if. That's our double-sided arrow. The way that works is P if P then Q, and Q if P. Then you can do the if and only if. That's the definition of if and only if. So if you look up here, it's the exact same, it's just flipped, and you have the and symbol between them. So it is an if and only if. This is true by definition. True by definition. So it is a true statement. All right, the last one. Select the statement that is equivalent to the following. I use WhatsApp or Pinterest to update my friends. Choose your correct. So see how it says or? So I use WhatsApp or Pinterest to update my friends. You use both WhatsApp and Pinterest to update my friends. That's changing it from or to both. So those are not equivalent. If I don't use WhatsApp to update my friends, I use Pinterest. Okay, so or means one or the other. If I use Pinterest to update my friends, I do not use WhatsApp. Well, or means this one or that one or both. So one or that, one or the other or both. So not necessarily. If I use WhatsApp to update my friends, I do not use Pinterest. No, these are basically the same. No. You don't have to use both. You can use one or the other. So if you don't use WhatsApp, then you will use Pinterest. So that is the correct answer there. All right, that is it for our notes.